Hi there, I hope that you're doing well. I wanted to record a voiceover for this week's video because it is very long. I think it's like 40 minutes long or something. So maybe grab yourself something to drink in the meantime, or if you're like me and you keep these in the background while you're like painting and stuff, I'd love to know what you're working on in the comments if you're happy to share. I always find that very interesting. But yeah, I had a lot to share this week. I did a bunch of journaling. I caught up in my journal, in my commonplace over the weekend, journaling about the trip that I went on last week, and then the new Radio Company album came out last week as well. So I just wanted to I wrote down some notes about it in my phone when it first came out, but I was away, so I couldn't really extensively journal about it. And then when I came back, I was really excited to just go through the lyrics and write down my favorite lyrics, just to have them for reference. I find a lot of inspiration from song lyrics, so I wanted to have that written down there, and just thoughts. So I did that, which was very fun. And then I didn't have my planner with me, so I wanted to set it up for the new week. And also I thought, since the previous week when I was away, the daily slots in my planner for the days that I was away in were empty anyways, because I didn't have much in my to-do list in there. I thought I would just write down a list of the places that we visited and the things that we saw that day, just for memory's sake, I suppose. So I did that as well in this journaling session. I just wanted to give a bit of context to it. But I thought, instead of rambling as I normally do with no point, I would ask for some questions and answer them in this segment, and I got some really good ones. So that's what I'm gonna be doing now. The first one was from my friend Ness. She is a wonderful artist. We've done a collaboration video before, I think last year or something, and I'm very glad to have her as an artist friend, because she really, really gets me. I'm convinced we're essentially the same person from two different parts of the world, and it's really funny and relatable, and I really enjoy the friendship. And she says, I'd love to know who or what your biggest inspirations are when it comes to art and creating in general. You're always sharing new things you find with me, and I'm so grateful for that. But I'd love to know if you have any artists or art that you've looked up to. And I definitely do, but also a lot of my inspiration doesn't come from other art, I guess. Or not necessarily not other paintings, for the most part, I would say. And I try to diversify the artists that I follow as much as possible, because I find it really easy for me to hyperfixate on an artist to a certain degree. If I discover someone that I really, really like, then I start watching all of their videos and going through their Instagram posts and stuff and looking at their paintings all the time. Then I find it really easy when I'm painting to not necessarily to imitate them to a certain degree. I'm not copying their artwork straight away, but I feel like I'm picking elements from their style that are not necessarily part of my own style, or I'm thinking about painting subjects that I wouldn't normally be interested in just because I saw someone else do it. And I don't like that, because it doesn't work usually. It's not, if I hyperfixate on someone like that, it's not a healthy thing. It doesn't go anywhere ultimately. So I try to diversify my inspirations as much as possible, and I try to follow a lot of different artists, but there are definitely some that I've learned a lot from, and that I keep that I really, really look up to. There's I would say it's mostly contemporary artists, and I definitely really appreciate and love older work, and I love going to museums and stuff, and I always feel very inspired when I come out of them. But also, if I'm looking for inspiration for things, I'm not going to look at old paintings. I'm not really going to look at paintings in general. I try to look more around me, and I try to I have a big collection of reference photos that I can pick from, nature and things like that. I find very inspiring. Music, as I said before, is a big thing. There's a lot of paintings that I've made that were very heavily inspired by songs, and you'll see later on in the video I take some reference photos for a new project that is also very tightly linked to some lyrics as well. It's not something that I like to share too much about, because I think it's really tightly linked to my own interpretation of my pieces, and that's not something that I love to talk about, because I think everybody should be able to have their own interpretation of a piece without it being like skewed, without that perspective being skewed by something that the artist said. But that's definitely something behind it. When it comes to artists though, like Jimena, I've talked about her before many times on the channel. She was the whole reason that I started painting in the first place. Like, she was my biggest inspiration when I first started painting, and I still look up to her a lot. I've been a patron of her for, I want to say, like 2 years, maybe more. And she does a lot of real-time painting on there, which has taught me so much. Like, looking at an artist that whose style you enjoy and admire paint in real time, and being able to see their decision making in real time and appreciate that, teaches you so much. It's really, really incredible. And then for landscapes, James Gurney, absolutely, like, if I see one of his videos. Also Tommy, I can't remember his surname. I did a domestica class of his as well at some point. He's another really wonderful landscape gouache artist. If I see any of their artwork like come up on my Instagram or YouTube or something, I'm immediately like really inspired to start painting landscapes. An Italian artist that I really, really like is Giuliano Macca. He used to do a lot of pen work. He's moved more into oils now, but I really like his work as well, and I think he's a really fresh perspective in the art community, I think, and I really, really appreciate his work. I studied some of it during my A-level art course. And then for more gouache stuff, HamRib Art, she has a really, really good YouTube channel that I really, really enjoy. And again, like, she does a lot of scenery things and like full body poses that I'm not very good at, so I'm really inspired by that. But also I'm not very good at it, but also the few times that I've done it, I've not really enjoyed it. Right now I'm more into portraiture and stuff. So it's like I try to admire other people's work from a bit of a distance and not get too influenced by it, because I'm not at the point yet where I can, like, I don't know, I feel like my style is not defined enough yet that it won't get skewed by me really appreciating someone else's work. I don't know if I'm making any sense. And then another person that I've been following for a long time is Sara Tepes. Her work is so beautiful, and I've always found her very, very inspiring. She does a lot of digital work. I will say I do prefer her gouache paintings and like traditional things usually, but also the last few digital paintings that she's done, so beautiful. Like, I can't stop looking at them. So there's a lot of artists that I really appreciate, but mostly when it comes to inspiration and like finding ideas for paintings, it's a lot of other things and not just looking at other people's art, if it makes any sense. Then someone asked, would love to hear more about how you get into the creative process for a new project. Do you do warm-up sketches? Can you share how you gather reference photos? Walk us through from start to finish, which is always... It's really interesting, and it's something that I love to see from other artists as well, so thanks for asking. I thought it'd be fitting to answer in this video, but also I'll talk more about it in next week's video, because as you'll see in a moment, I'm taking reference photos for a new project, as I mentioned, and so next week I'll do the bulk of the color studies and all of that. This is also, what you're seeing on screen is also another really good example. I was doing some sketches in my sketchbook, just really low pressure stuff from like TV show photos, and I really liked this pose, and I just thought I like the pose, I want to paint it, and so I grabbed a panel that I already had primed and I started painting, and I haven't worked on it since. It's still very unfinished, like it's at the very beginning. I don't know where this is gonna go. I have ideas for it, but I haven't really developed anything yet. But sometimes like inspiration strikes, or like you see something that you like and you just want to start a project without any kind of planning. And I just sort of went with it in this case. And so this is the case sometimes. But other times, especially when I'm taking reference photos and then I have like a set of photos that I really like and that I have to choose between, or that I want to develop into something a bit more complex, or if I'm working on a bigger painting and stuff, I will happily do like a bunch of composition studies in my sketchbook, just really quickly. And then once I've nailed it down to like 2 or 3 photos that I really like, I'll maybe do more detailed sketches of those. I'll do color studies, just try to figure out what direction I want to go into before I start painting the finished, like the actual piece, because it can be a bit overwhelming, especially when working on a larger scale and if you want to put a lot into a painting. So it really depends on the project. If I'm doing anything like a still life or like how do you call that? Oh my god, I completely forgot the word for that. Like live painting. That's the word that I was looking for. If I'm doing any kind of a live painting, then I won't do any planning for that. Like I'll just set up the composition and stuff and paint. But if I'm working on a bit more of a complex project, then yes, there's a lot of behind the scenes. It's almost like visual journaling, I think. It really helps me to just kind of process things and figure things out. I will also do a bunch of journaling, like for this new project that I want to start working on. I filled up 3 or 4 pages in my journal already, and I've printed out some of the photos that I've taken and stuck them in so I can like comment my thoughts about it and see where I'm going with it, and just gather ideas and keep these ideas somewhere, because it's really easy to like have a quick idea and then 5 minutes later you like forgotten about it, but maybe like 2 weeks later you come back to it and you think that's a great idea and you can develop it into something more interesting. So it really depends. Taking references is something that I've been doing for a few years, but I'd say in the last few months really tried to only primarily work from my own references. I don't use Pinterest as reference anymore, and I try to not use like any kind of copyrighted images. If I need something that I can't like take a photo of myself, I'll use copyright-free images websites, so like Pexels I think is the one that I normally use. But whenever I can, I do try to take my own, and for the most part I'm just doing everything myself. Like I'm just taking pictures of myself. The paintings are not necessarily meant to be self-portraits, even though I do think any painting in a way is a self-portrait of the artist that made it, but also like it's still me in the photos, and to a certain degree in the paintings, but I'm not aiming for likeness in that way. So in this case, I bought roses on Monday, and I really liked them, and I had this idea of like doing this cool braided bun with my hair and sticking flowers into it and taking photos of that. So I did that, and I just set up my tripod, and I filmed video instead of photo, and then I just sit down, pose for like a minute, go back, look at it to see if I like it, and like what poses I liked most, and I try to recreate them again the next time. And then when I import that onto my laptop, I open the file in my editing software, like the one that I normally use for videos, and I'll save the frames that I like most as photos, and then I use those as my reference photos. And it's a time-consuming process. Doing everything yourself takes a while, but also I'd be happy to maybe like take photos of my friends or like models or something, even though it's not something that I necessarily have access to at the moment. But also I'm terrible at like giving directions to someone that's in front of the camera if I'm behind the camera, so I don't really know how that would work. So I'm happy to just take photos of myself for now, and I have a very big collection at this point. And I keep all of them, like maybe from like this set of 200 something that I had in this case, I then use 1 or 2, but I have hundreds of backlog photos that I can refer back to when maybe I want to start a new project, but I don't have any ideas for photos that I might want to take, or I don't know, like it's winter, there's no light or something, or I'm just like scrolling through it and I'm inspired by a photo. So that also happens sometimes, and it's something that I've done in the past for sure. So the process really depends, but like all of the above, to answer your question, like I'll happily do any kind of warm-up sketches, any kind of like color tests, just anything that really helps me feel more prepared to go into a painting. If I feel like I need to do that, I'll happily do it. So I'll share more about that next week, so if you're interested, stay tuned for that. And then last question I wanted to answer is, I'm curious about you studying something scientific, if I understood correctly, while having a big passion for art. Why didn't you choose to study something art related? I'm curious because I studied chemistry stuff, but I'm regretting it so much. First of all, I'm really sorry you feel that way. I hope that you can eventually find a path that really fulfills you and makes you happy. So good luck with that. That's right, you did get it right. I'm currently in second year biotechnology. I just started second semester this week, and I'm really enjoying it. Like, I think I'm very happy with my choice. Last year was a lot of basic courses. This year, it's a lot of really interesting stuff. So it's a lot of hours. We're doing, like, the timetable for the semester is terrible, but ultimately the courses are very interesting. And to give you some context, like, art was always something that I did on the side of school, like in high school, except from when I was doing my A-levels, which I won't like talk about because we'll be here all day otherwise. But I did briefly study art when I was in England, and I did a year abroad, and I'm so grateful for that experience. Like, the teacher I had was incredible, and I'll never stop being grateful for her and the opportunities that she gave me. But ultimately, art was always a side thing, and I was always also doing science together with it. Like, even when I was doing A-level, I took A-level art, and then I took further maths and physics. So I've always had both. And when it came to choosing universities, I did consider going to art school for a while, but realistically, if I had gone to art school, I would have been shutting off a door for me to like be able to do anything in science eventually, because like, unless I was then to like go on and do another degree in science. Doing it this way essentially allows me to keep doing both, like I've always done, and it's a balance that's always worked really well for me, and I'm very afraid to tip the scales to a certain degree. And it's something that I've thought about a lot because I don't know where things will go. Like, ultimately, I know that if it came to choosing between the two and I could only do one, I would pick art, because when I'm drawing and painting, it's the only time that my brain isn't going at 1,000 miles an hour and I can, like, you know, stop for a while. And so it's so vital to it's so vital and so important to my mental well-being that if I wasn't able to make art, I would go crazy in a couple of months. But also, I'd be really sad to let science go, because it's genuinely something that I'm really interested in and passionate about. So to a certain degree, I do think I'm just delaying the choice because I don't think I'll be able to keep doing both to the level that I am right now forever. Like, when I have to eventually like find a job, I don't know what the situation will be like, but I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing for now, and then we'll figure it out. I also don't know whether like doing art full time would be like, I don't know whether it would work, because it's always very difficult to have your passion also be your job, and it can be very easy for the job part to take away from the enjoyment of your passion. So I don't know. The answer is I don't really know what's gonna happen, but I am happy with the choice that I've made so far, and I'm happy with the way that I've been able to carry both on at the moment. But also, eventually I might just have to make a different choice at some point. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen with that. For now, this is the situation. I think the balance for me really, really helps, because like, I don't know if I was just doing art, whether that would be enough, or whether I'd be missing something. So we'll see where that goes. For now, the majority of the reason why I didn't choose to study art is because I wanted to still be able to potentially choose a different career and like continue to study something that I'm genuinely interested and passionate about, or like I want to know more about. But also, whilst I did have a great experience being guided in art during my A-levels, I much prefer to just do things on my own and do whatever I feel like doing when it comes to art, because it is such a freeing thing. I don't like to put any constraints on myself when it comes to it. So I'm also not really sure that I would have even enjoyed art school. Like, I don't know. I also I've never really loved like the theory side of it. Like I did have art history as a subject for majority of my time in school. And whilst I do really love looking at paintings, I don't love just like having to learn about them and know about them off the top of my head. Like, for examples and stuff, I wouldn't really have enjoyed doing that, I don't think. And I know that's like more than that to art school, but like that's just something that came to mind. So there were a lot of elements going into the decision, but ultimately I'm happy with the choice that I've made so far. Also, continuing on from the previous question, I'm just starting to do some sketches now from the references that I took earlier. So this is what I was talking about earlier. I'll just do like some really small, quick composition studies to figure out what I like best in terms of poses. And then I also, it's not in this video, it might be next week's, but I've already done like some digital mock-ups as well to figure out the colors mostly. So I'll just import the photo straight into Procreate and doodle on it with like the airbrush tool to change the colors and stuff. So I hope it was interesting for you to hear me talk about that. I figured it'd be better than like finding 25 minutes of background music. So I hope you don't find it too boring. And I'll let you enjoy the rest of the video. I hope you have a really nice week. there, I hope you're well. I wanted to film a little catch-up segment towards the end of the week just to catch you up on what's been going on, because I feel like starting lectures this week really threw me off. Like, it's been intense. Starting next week, I have 8-hour days both Tuesday and Wednesday, which is a lot, but then Monday, Thursday and Friday are more manageable, so hopefully I'll still be able to find some kind of decent art making schedule and like video making schedule around that. But I am working on a lot of really fun art projects. I'm really excited about these and I hope you are enjoying them as well. So as you saw earlier, I just finished painting these 2 gouache pieces, and I wanted to show you the whole, like the full series of the ones that I've painted so far. I don't know if I'll be able to get it all in frame, but I have a couple of bigger ones and then just a bunch of smaller ones, and I really like how it looks all together. I think this is my least favorite one, but I really love all the rest. I just think what's wrong about this is the background, because it's all very cool toned. I think what I'm gonna do is go back and warm up the background a bit, and then it'll fit in with the rest a bit better. And I really want to make prints of these. I'll do an A6 set of like postcard prints from these, maybe this one as well if I can fix it, and then these 2 will be A5 prints. I'm hoping to have a shop update this month at some point. I don't really know when, because I'm not just uploading originals, I'm getting things manufactured, so I don't know how long that will take, but I'm really happy with these, especially the 2 big ones, which I painted a couple of weeks ago. I just love these so much, and I'm happy with how these 2 last ones turned out as well. I was a bit unsure yesterday night, but also I was painting with artificial light, which always really screws your perception of colour, but I'm happy with them now, so that's great. And then yesterday I took some new references, which I am so happy with. I had this idea because I bought flowers. I still have them on my desk. They're still looking pretty good. I bought flowers on Monday, and I thought, like, I didn't buy them specifically to take photos. I don't think my camera is focused. Okay. I didn't buy them specifically to take photos with, but I thought, since I have them, I might as well take advantage of that and actually use them for a photo shoot, which I haven't done in a while. Like, I think the last set of references I took was at the beginning of January, which is a bit further away than I would have liked. I'm really trying to like build up a library of references that I can keep using, but also I've been working on a lot of projects, so I feel like every time that I take new photos, then I want to start working on painting those, and then my focus kind of gets swept away from what I'm actually working on at the moment. So I don't want to do that too often either, because then that becomes a problem because I can't work on anything. So that being said, I'm really happy with how they turned out. I've not done a lot of work around them. Like, I've only done a couple of really quick sketches after lunch, or before lunch today. This I really like. There's 2 that I think are my favorite that I'll paint. I think I'll paint both of them, but basically I did my usual thing where I shoot video and then export single frames as pictures, and I think I exported like 230 or something, and then from those I selected the 30 that I liked most and edited those, and then again I went back and selected the 10 that I like most, and I'll keep all of them. Like, I'll keep the whole 200 something, just to have a variety of poses to refer back to in case I need to go back to them in the future, which I've done many times before with photo shoots from over the years, and I still keep going back to them. But for now, I think like those are the 10 that I like most, and I'll try to put them on the screen so you can see, and I'll just try to pick a couple that I really want to turn into paintings, because obviously I can't just paint a series of 10, like they somehow all look similar, but I'll try my best to pick the best ones. I think this pose is my favorite one, and then I also really like this one and the ones where I'm turned towards the back, because I love what I did with my hair and like the flowers and that. So stay tuned for that. I'll start working on the painting hopefully next week, but my goal for ideally today, but also I have to go take the bus in like 25 minutes to meet a friend at the station and then take the train to go home, so I don't know how realistic it is. Ideally today I'd finish this painting, which I started like a month ago at this point probably, and I'm so happy with it, but also it's definitely not finished. It's very rough, and I don't know how much I want to refine it, but I definitely want to refine the clothing a bunch. I also need to brighten it up a bit, and then the flowers really need detailing. So I don't think I'll finish it today, and I don't know if it's worth it to even just like work on it for 20 minutes, because 20 minutes is a very short painting session and I'm probably not gonna have time to clean up and stuff. So maybe I won't do that, but that's something that I'll definitely work on next week. And then next week I also want to continue working on this, which I started on Tuesday, I think. And as I was painting it, it was a lot of fun. I did all of it with a really large brush, and I hadn't done that, I don't think, ever, like for a full portrait. It was really great, also because I only had one brush to wash, which is my least favorite thing to do about oil painting. But I really like the portrait. I just think, like, compared to the other one, it's just giving like zombie vibes, and I don't love that. So I'm gonna try to bring some life back into it. It just got very chalky. I think I just, you know, when you're oil painting and white gets everywhere and everything gets very chalky, that's what happened. And also the idea that I had for the background didn't work, because I essentially just messed up the composition. So I'm gonna go for something else. But again, this is not really something I can do in 20 minutes. So I think I'm just gonna finish filming this and then pack and go home and get back to painting on Monday, which I only have 2 hours of lectures on Monday. So I have like from 9 to 11, I'm in uni, and then I'll probably be home by like quarter to midday. And then I have the whole day free. I'm gonna have to like, you know, sort out my uni notes and stuff, but mostly I'm free to paint and do artsy things, which is great. So that's where I'm at with things. I am definitely gonna make prints of this one. We'll see where the rest ends up going. I think for now, since I don't really have time to paint, I might just go ahead and try to do some more drawings and light color studies. These are the colors that I'm thinking about for these paintings. Obviously I did these swatches in gouache, and these will be oil paints, but I want to figure out whether I want to do it as an A3 or as an A2, because I think an A2 would be really nice, but I also don't know, like, I can't quite visualize how big that would be, so I kind of need to think about that. And also, if I decide that I want to do it as an A2, this weekend I have to pick up some A2. I still have some A2 paper at home, but maybe I want to work on wood for this, because that's what I generally prefer to do with oil painting, so we'll see about that. But I'm happy because this week I made a lot of art. Like, I hadn't drawn in my sketchbook in a while, and I did quite a lot this week. Like, they're very chill sketches and studies, but it's still fun, and it's still a lot of art making. And then I did these two, and I started the other painting, so I'm happy about that. I think, yeah, I'll fix this real quick, and then I also need to take some photos for Instagram, because I haven't posted in a really long time and I need to show all of this. So I think that's what I'll do. Anyway, I want to see, that's my problem. I want to do so much in like 20 minutes, and this is not gonna work, but we can try. Anyways, I hope you've had a nice week. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I think this is gonna be quite a long one. I'm almost caught up with editing. Hopefully I get to publish this on Monday, as I want to. But yeah, I hope you had a really nice week. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you very soon.